Hospitality is not seeing the ROI like it used to from traditional trade shows. Tons of time, effort, but it's not oftentimes translating into direct business. So many hospitality vendors are beginning to wonder and rethink this entire strategy. So I have Sam Dunning from Breaking B2B here to break it all down. Welcome back to the show, Sam. Three-peat, I do believe.
Legend. Cory, thanks for having me back, man. Hopefully didn't annoy too many folks on the first and second episode. Brought me back for more and looking forward to digging in.
Oh, man, I love your bold, unafraid way of addressing some of these issues. Exactly the type of thing that InnSync needs. Man, let's tear right into this. We're going to talk about why hospitality vendors lose when they go all in on trade shows. Sam, what are hospitality vendors missing when they put nearly all of their time and resources into building trade shows, but not an online presence?
Yeah, I suppose usually it's you don't know what you don't know. And oftentimes, like you could say this about trade shows, you could say this about outbound sales, you could say this about networking, word of mouth, relying on referrals. Like trade shows is one example, but I suppose it's a classic case of thinking this has always worked for our industry. Let's just keep doing it rather than, and this is rife in B2B marketing, B2B companies, service companies, tech companies, software companies, just sticking to the devil they know rather than having a constant feedback loop with their market, i.e. their dream client profile, their ideal client profile, their ICP, and really understanding where these folks spend their time and where they get their trusted information from. And it could well be that trade shows, events in person is a big chunk of a big piece of that puzzle. But the chances are these prospects are also going to other streams, be them digital or offline, when they are evaluating solutions or searching directly for your offer, your service or your software or your product. If we're talking hospitality, that could be directly searching online with a search engine. That could be going to their peers. That could be at trade shows. That could be at events. That could be ads. That could be podcast, email lists, whatever. But the crux of this is realizing that if you're not constantly talking to your prospects, your market, your customers to learn where they get their trusted information, how they do their research, then you're probably missing a considerable chunk of market share.
One thing that I think a lot of vendors aren't considering as well is they go to the show oftentimes for visibility. But what happens when that particular prospect strikes up a conversation, they're interested in products and services that they saw at the show? We're talking sometimes 5-6 figures sale, right? So this is an impulse buy. Most likely those people are going to go home or the office. They're going to begin to do a little bit more due diligence when they get back. So what happens when those prospects go online and start to do their due diligence? They look at reviews, testimonials, all the EAT signals that you talked about. And lo and behold, some of these vendors don't even show up. So my problem also is not necessarily visibility. It's the verification once the show's over and they get home. Do you see that as a problem?
Of course, it's almost like I'd probably tee up the analogy that maybe you have a great sales call. And almost like you go to an event and you see someone stand, you think, oh, that actually fixes a really great problem that I'm facing in my business right now. And this looks like a cool product. And it could be similar to a salesperson, like maybe a salesperson reaches out to you with a message or a cold call or an email, whatever it is. And you think, oh, this problem that they're trying to solve actually sounds like something we're experiencing and it might be worth evaluating. And then you go to their website and this thing looks like it was built in the year 1900s. It's saying that they're number one for this service or this solution, but I don't really understand what they do. There's no examples of the offer. I can't really understand the solution. I can't see any proof of results. It's all kind of very unclear jargon. It's hard to navigate. I can't understand how they help me, what they do. Can't really see the pricing. I can't see proof of impact and results. And it's quite difficult to actually request a session or a demo or a quote or a call with a salesperson. So you've done all this, you've invested all this cash, all this time, all this resource into a trade show, whatever it is. But if the rest of you, like you said, reflects poorly, then you're missing out on opportunities that you might not know about.
Beautiful. Why does agentic search, which you talk a lot about, and SEO, which you say that's obviously not a extinct yet, matter more today than perhaps boot traffic, especially when buyers are shortlisting vendors before they even hit the show and after the show, as I just mentioned?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the funny thing is, it almost felt like so many companies were giving up on SEO, but then when LLMs like ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc., became more and more popular, everyone put SEO back on the agenda. When the funny thing is, like, there's been a bunch of reports recently by a company called Datos, run by Semra, and it shows that even though there's so much hype around LLMs, like if you put all the AI tools together, they only take up 2% of the search market. So it shows us that Google is still a beast when it comes to demand capture, i.e., driving inbound traffic, pipelines, leads, booked calls, sessions for your business. If you're, in your case, a hospitality vendor, provider, whatever it may be, and folks know that your solution, your service, your offer exists, they know about your category or your solution, then the chances are when they need that solution, when they're making their shortlist of vendors, when they're comparing options, when they have a problem that you solve or similar, they're either going to Google or maybe now ChatGPT and searching for that solution or to fix a problem or to weigh up their options. And if you're not showing up, then your competitors probably are, and they'll be enjoying a free lunch kind of 24/7 around the clock, meaning they'll be enjoying that visibility, that inbound traffic, and that potential inbound lead. And I suppose by sleeping on SEO or LLM visibility, then you're missing out on not only potential new colder prospects that haven't heard of your brand before, but are maybe searching for your solution directly, so you could capture them, but your competitors will be. But also, if folks are looking to, I guess, validate your brand. So like you said, maybe they've heard about you at the trade show or heard about you from a peer, and then they're searching for kind of yourself directly or your category. If you're not showing up, then you're missing out on opportunities that way too.
Great illustration there. Before we got on this call, I think I mentioned to you, we found our next sales and marketing CRM, or i.e. a HubSpot alternative. And it was all done through shortlisting on chat, through our own requirements. And I literally in 15 minutes whittled it down to 3 options. We ran one demo. It took all of a half an hour. And I just did some additional research before we jumped on this call. This particular company has never even been into a trade show. So I found these people. It wasn't at a show. It wasn't traditional, but it was because I did all the DIY myself. I didn't have to talk to sales. We had some additional questions before we onboarded. They have a very robust affiliate program, all the things that we wanted to find out about growing our agency. But it was such a seamless, frictionless process because I was able to do it on my own time, ask my own questions, not necessarily be on another person's time frame. And our suggestions for other vendors out there is to begin to start using these LLMs. Realize put yourself in your prospect's shoes, begin to start asking questions and see how this thing is working. It's literally your own assistant. It's such an amazing tool. I can't imagine going back and clicking on blue links because I don't know about you, Sam, but once you get a taste of that, of how agentic works, and it's literally helping you solve everyday problems from insurance to bookkeeping. I literally doing my own finance now. It's amazing. And the more that you use it, you see all these use cases coming up. And I think vendors need to realize this shift is happening. And if they're going to ignore that, I have a feeling they're going to become invisible ultimately. So let's talk about what vendors can do, right? So say you are a hospitality vendor, traditionally, like you just mentioned, one of your previous partners, their example is it was trade shows for visibility and then outbound sales only with a huge gap, which is a lot of hospitality vendors are still in that particular bucket right now. So what can vendors do that are seeing this shift happen? What are maybe some 1, 2, or 3 tips that they could do today to get that visibility online?
Yeah, a lot of the times I think about this as controlling or owning the narrative. So what the heck do I mean by that? One example that I was talking to you about before we hit record is we've got a client called Check Writers, that family run bootstrap business, doing hefty turnover, like doing 10, 20 plus million revenue right now, but possibly more. Like you say, historically, they've been going a good few years, grown through like word of mouth, trade shows, outbound sales team, and then brought us on board a few months back to hit the SEO front because they realized that was an untapped market for them to drive inbound demos through the website. So a lot of the time, it's the good news about LLM visibility is a lot of good, classic, smart, pipeline-focused SEO carries through to LLM optimization with a few exceptions, which we can chat about, of course. But a lot of the time, I'm a simple guy, so a lot of the explanations I give are quite straightforward. It's really working out what would a focused client, a dream client for us, what are some of the things they'd search for when they need our offering, like when they're not necessarily information gathering yet, but starting with when they're directly looking for our service, our category, like you mentioned, CRM there, or whatever it might be. What would they type, like not for fun, but when they actually are ready to have some kind of sales conversation, take a demo, take a spin, book a session, whatever. And in that payroll example, for that company, like they serve HR and nonprofits like really well. So we were looking for terms like best HR software for nonprofits, or we were looking for terms like paychecks alternatives or ADP alternatives or ADP versus paychecks. So these kind of search queries that not only drive kind of high intent inbound demos, but that folks don't search for fun. They search when they're in that evaluation stage, where they know specifically what they're looking for. And then we map that with content that addresses those things. So if it's a comparison page, it directly compares those two vendors, shares the pros and cons, then positions us as the new, better way backed by our customer research and why folks typically move away from those solutions to ours. And the good thing about that competitor content, especially, is that it gets pulled up in LLMs really well. So if you're, whereas traditionally on Google, you might search like, show me an ADP alternative if you're looking for payroll software. Now you might search, I am a, let's say, hospitality marketing leader. I have a team of X reps. I need these features. I'm struggling with these pain points. Show me the best alternatives within this price frame. If we can create a piece of content that's maybe a blog post that lists all these things, that knows our common problems that we're solving, knows what folks usually evaluate us against, positions our product as a painkiller, has plenty of social proof, case studies, reviews, case study videos, and attacks all those issues. And of course, has SEO best practices in terms of technical things, which I'm happy to talk about, then it has a good chance to show up not just in Google, but also in LLMs and drive those high intent prospects that are likely to grab a call or demo or sign up with us at a high level.
Wonderful. I could not agree with you more. We had, in our particular framework, in fact, you're the very first person I heard talk about EEAT. In fact, it was on our last podcast, which is probably over a year ago. I had never heard that before. And since then, we've woven that into we call it the high fives in our WINS method framework. And we start with deep FAQs as a knowledge hub, team page. People want to know, people do business with people that are human. The very first one being that value proposition, problem, agitate, solution framework on the website. You touched on that on the last question.
Nice.
And then social proof on steroids, right? Because EEAT is a huge trust signal. So leaning into those video testimonials that are feeding those LLMs. And I think a lot of people don't know what LLM means. So I just been throwing out the word agentic / AI because AI is such a buzz term these days. So anything else, if somebody that doesn't have maybe just the basic setup, isn't producing content right now, what would be the very first thing let's see a SaaS vendor that has a piece of technology that's trying to sell to hotels, trying to get the visibility, doesn't have a robust online presence, really confused. What's that one thing would you do?
There's probably two parts to it. I don't know if I've shared this on historic episodes with you, but I call it the money keyword matrix. And that's basically doing what I talked about just now, but in a bit more depth. So what product should we pretend we are, Cory, or what category do you want to be in? I can give an example for it and break it down.
Yeah, let's talk about, for hotels, there's a ton of booking engines. So if you
Okay.
so traditionally the space is very crowded and
Yep.
direct bookings is all the rage. So
Okay.
let's do that.
Okay. So like some kind of hotel booking software.
Yep, exactly.
Fine. Okay. So let's build a money keyword matrix for that.
All right.
So I would, again, this is in simple terms, it can be a lot more complex, but I'd say fire up a Google Sheet. And the good thing about this exercise is once you've nailed it, you can use a tool like ChatGPT to help you scale it. So fire up a Google Sheet, Excel sheet, put 4 main columns. Column 1 is every way someone can refer to your offer or platform or tool. So that could be hotel booking software, best hotel booking platform, best hotel booking tools, and so on. I encourage you, if you're doing this exercise, if you've got a sales team or customer success team or support team, bring them in because they'll have some cool insights that can help you. That's column 1. Column 2 is every industry that you serve best. If it's specifically hotels, it might be hotels, but there might be sub-industries within those. Again, Cory, you'd know this because this is your niche better than me, but I don't know if there could be industries within there.
Yeah, it could be RV campsites. There could be some additional subcategories of under the hospitality or travel banner. But yes, yep.
Got it. So that'd be column 2, like every industry or vertical or niche or even persona that you sell to best. Column 3 is competitors. So what are the competitors that always come up on sales calls to an annoying level? Again, you folks would know this a bit better than me, but I'm sure you have a list of competitors that you're always being shaped up against, especially if you're selling software or services. And then column 4 is what are our dream clients' jobs to be done, struggling moments, crisp and expensive problems, or what do they try and cobble together in-house before they get so frustrated that they look to evaluate solutions like yours because maybe it's causing massive time issues, maybe it's causing staff to churn, maybe it's causing customer retention, and that might be cobbling something together in a Google Sheet. It could be trying to build something with manual paper entry. It could be Microsoft Word, whatever. Quite a lot of the time I find with software, the enemy is either a competitor or it's trying to do it in-house with Google Sheets or spreadsheets or pen and paper. So you know those crisp and specific problems. And the reason we build those 4 columns like offer, industry, competitors, jobs to be done, or problems is they help us build long tail searches or keywords that our target clients look for when they need our offer. So for example, if you're looking for like best hotel booking tools, that probably yields a lot of traffic. It probably gets some really good leads, but it'll be very competitive to rank for. So that might be a long-term keyword that you look to rank for. So instead, you'd weave in your industries. Like if it was, I don't know, best booking tools for, like you say, RV sites or any specific industry. So you're basically going offer plus niche or offer plus ICP or offer plus niche. So that helps you get lower competition. So if you ran that kind of search or that keyword for a tool like Hrefs, which is an SEO tool that helps you identify how difficult a keyword is to rank and how much search traffic it gets, that would yield lower search traffic, but it would be easier to rank for. And it would also drive higher intent leads because they'd be specifically looking for your solution. So that's what we're doing this for. And likewise with the competitor keyword, I don't know, do you know any competitors in this space? Do you know it better than me?
Yeah, no, ironically, somebody that is very visible on LinkedIn called Olive. In fact, I recently connected with him on a Zoom and he's at a very crowded space, but because they are very active and adding value at every step, I am very familiar with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's their tool called? What's their software
Olive?
called? It's called Olive. Cool.
Uh-huh.
So in that case, the competitor stuff, it might be folks looking for Olive alternative or Olive versus competitor B or Olive pricing or Olive reviews, that kind of stuff. The good thing about those competitor pages is if you run those through a tool like Hrefs, an SEO tool, they'll show really low monthly search volume, but they're some of the quickest ranking pages that you can get because they're usually low difficulty. Not many companies do them. And they yield some of the highest intent sales leads. Because if you think about it, no one really searches for a competitor like Olive Alternative, Olive Pricing, Olive Reviews, or Olive versus another competitor for fun. They're doing it because they're probably annoyed with their current solution. Maybe like the customer support is terrible. Maybe they've looked to add more seats or more sales reps to the team or whatever it is, and the pricing's gone sky high. And they're like, screw this, I want to look for another solution. And if you can position your tool as like the new better way and say, look, we know you're paying too much, or we know that the customer support is poor. This is specifically how we target those pain points. Like those pages are golden and they rank really fast. So that's definitely where I'd start. And then again, the last column, jobs to be done, problems that you're facing. Again, your sales team, your customer success team will help you list those out. And then the next stage, like the actionable tip is just search for these terms once you've built them on Google or LLMs. Look what types of content shows up. Is it a landing page? Is it a top X software list, like a listicle? Is it a blog post, like a how-to? Then you know what type of page you need to build. And then you essentially look to blow that page out of the water, like you said, using the EEAT framework, like experience, expertise, authority, trust. Look to make your page more helpful, useful, authoritative, social proof, trustworthy than what's ranking at the moment. And a lot of the times, those competitor pages, those industry-specific pages can rank without backlinks. And then as you go more competitive, you need to build links to those pages. There is more to it. There is technical SEO you need to bear in mind, but that's a high level of kind of what actionably you can do to start getting valuable traffic that might drive leads to your website.
Beautiful. I will add, and I'm going to take a page right out of our wins method, and probably no surprise, the first letter, we always start with W. Always want to fix the holes in the boat first before you add more passengers on. That's my great analogy for travel, by the way.
I like that.
If you go to the website and you beautifully said in 3 seconds, if you don't know what problems you solve and what you provide, you confuse, you lose. So we start immediately with that framework. What's that solid value proposition? What's that problem? What's the pain that you're agitating? And quickly, how's that solution? Luckily for you and I, in B2B, there is a scientific formula on a highly converting website. There's been science done. There's a particular framework. So we want to make sure that's dialed in first and foremost. And if you go to most hotel or vendor websites, they're not. They use buzzwords like, we're revolutionizing hospitality. We're taking things to the next level. Very, very cliche buzzwords that don't mean a whole lot. So starting with that W and optimizing that website so that it becomes that conversion machine. So that would be our tip here at Lure as that first place to start, first and foremost. Hey, Sam, this has been an amazing conversation here. I knew we'd go over a little bit, which is totally fine because it's just dropping some sauce left and right. I appreciate you joining me for a third time, and we'll make it a fourth. Hopefully you'll join me for a next round. And I appreciate the conversation, man.
Thanks, man. Good to chat again.
Hey, by the way, before you leave, can you tell us where people can find you?
Appreciate you having me back. So there's 3 main ways. One is LinkedIn, Sam Dunning. I share daily ramblings on what we see working to drive pipeline through SEO, as well as memes and weird videos. Second is podcast Breaking B2B. Again, I share weekly episodes on SEO tips, case studies, as well as interviews with marketing leaders. And then the third way is if you felt the pain of seeing competitors show up above you every time a dream client is searching for your solution, your offer, or comparing you to alternatives on Google or LLMs now, and you might want to fix that, then you can head over to breakingb2b.com and we might be able to help.
Right on, brother. Hey, thanks again so much, and have a great rest of the week.
You too. Cheers.
All right. Take care, man.